The phone call came from a house in Kettering on a winter afternoon in 1999. A mother heard her daughter's voice on the other end of the line, slurred, incoherent, terrified beneath the chemical fog. Sarah Benford was 14 years old, and she was begging for help. Her mother made a decision in that moment that would haunt her for the next 26 years. She called the police. She gave them the address. She told them her daughter was in danger, that she was high, that someone needed to go get her right now. The police made a phone call of their own, not to dispatch officers, not to organize a welfare check. They called social services. And according to official notes from that day, they said they refused to babysit a troubled teenager. Nobody went to get Sarah Benford. And within 48 hours, she disappeared from the face of the earth. Kettering is a small market town in Northamptonshire, the kind of place where everyone knows everyone else's business, where secrets don't stay buried for long. Except this one has stayed buried for over 2 decades. Sarah had been known to authorities since she was a small child, a troubled home, a file with social services that grew thicker with each passing year. By the time she became a teenager, she was already spiraling. Cocaine, amphetamines, and then heroin, injected into veins that should have been carrying the blood of childhood. She ran away constantly. She came back. She ran again. It was a pattern everyone recognized, but nobody could break. 6 months before she vanished, her mother made an impossible choice. She handed Sarah over to social services completely, not out of cruelty, out of desperation. There was a network in Kettering. Thieves who had their hooks in Sarah, using her to shoplift, keeping her dependent, keeping her useful. Her mother believed that if anyone could break that cycle, it would be the system designed to protect vulnerable children. She was wrong. Of the 171 days Sarah should have been in care, she was only present for 41 of them. The rest of the time she was out there, somewhere, with someone, and the people responsible for her safety knew exactly what was happening to her. Sarah had walked into a local clinic twice in the months before she disappeared. Not alone, she was accompanied by a man well known to police, a pimp and one of the women who worked for him. She was there for pregnancy tests. She was 14 years old. The clinic staff saw this. They documented it. They did nothing. Sarah told her care workers what was happening. She didn't hide it. She told them she was injecting heroin. She told them she was meeting men for sex. The language of a child trying to explain something she didn't have the words for. Trafficking, exploitation, rape. The care workers gave her advice. Use contraception, they said, and that was it. The day Sarah made her final phone call, there were still sightings. People saw her around Kettering for another day or two, moving through the town like a ghost already half gone. And then the sightings stopped. No body, no trace, no goodbye. For years the case went cold. A missing girl from a troubled background, the kind of story that gets filed away that people stop asking about. But someone somewhere knew what happened to Sarah Benford. Because decades later, the police began to dig. They excavated multiple sites around Kettering. Specific locations, not random searches. They were looking for remains. They were looking for Sarah. The authorities have never publicly stated that Sarah is deceased. But their actions speak louder than their words. You don't excavate the ground looking for a living person. Someone talked. Someone gave them information, enough to know where to look, but not enough to bring her home. The digs came up empty. Either the information was wrong, or Sarah's body had been moved, or she's somewhere they haven't looked yet. But the police know she's dead. They just can't prove it. What happened in that house the day Sarah called her mother? Who was with her? Who gave her the drugs that left her barely able to speak? And who decided that a 14-year-old girl, known to be trafficked, known to be exploited, known to be in immediate danger, wasn't worth saving? The system failed Sarah Benford at every possible turn. Social services lost track of her for 130 days. Medical professionals saw her being paraded by a pimp and said nothing. Police officers refused to pick her up when her mother begged them to intervene. And someone, in those final 48 hours, made sure she would never have the chance to tell her story. Sarah's family still lives in the area. Her grandmother spent years searching, asking questions, refusing to let her granddaughter become just another statistic. People remember her. People remember Sarah. In a town like Kettering, someone knows what happened. Someone saw something. Someone heard something. And for 26 years they've kept their mouth shut. Maybe it's fear, maybe it's guilt, maybe it's something darker. But somewhere in Northamptonshire, there's a person who could bring Sarah Benford home, who could give her family the answer they've been waiting for since 1999, who could finally let a 14-year-old girl, failed by everyone who should have protected her, rest in peace. The question is whether their conscience will ever bother them enough to speak, or whether Sarah will remain beneath the ground of a town that forgot her, in a grave that nobody can find.